Oh boy, what a diamond league we've just witnessed today in Doha. Firstly, history in the making. Neeraj Chopra finally achieved that 90-meter mark, 90.23, a colossal throw in the third. But what is the sad and shocking part? He still couldn't win the Doha Diamond League because at the last possible throw, Julian Weber has managed to throw 91.06 meters. What a time for both Neeraj and Julian to throw 90 meters. And frankly, this is the best Diamond League start that I can ever think of. But if you have to look at the positive, Neeraj now has achieved everything that needs to be in Javelin. Commonwealth, Asian, World Athletics, Olympic, Diamond League title. He's achieved everything that needs to be now. 90 meters, he's completed Javelin. This, Nikhil, I'm pretty much sure will hurt. Despite throwing 90, should I be happy that I threw 90? Or I lost the Diamond League leg just in the last throw?
I think if I was Neeraj Chopra, I'd be very happy. I'd be very relieved because for once, that question in the press conference will not be asked, when are you going to be throwing the 90 meter, when are you going to be breaching the 90-meter mark. I think it was hanging, that sword was hanging on his head. It was like an albatross around his neck. It was the monkey on his back. I can think of various other phrases to describe it, but that's what that 90-meter mark was. And I think Neeraj Chopra would be a very relieved man. And I can say that for myself as well. I think even as a fan of Indian sport, as a fan of Olympic sport, I think it's a massive day for Indian sport, because this will allow that pressure to be off Neeraj Chopra. And you know what is interesting is the reason probably he's been able to cross that 90-meter mark is because for maybe the first time in his career, or at least in the recent past, the first time ever, he went into a competition and he was not asked that 90-meter question. I was going through the press conference that happened before this, and nobody asked him that 90-meter question. And I think that's done the trick. I think that is, something that probably took the pressure off him, that allowed him to put a performance like this. And we could see it, that throw, as soon as he let the javelin go, as his trademark Neeraj Chopra style, his hands going up like that. That's exactly what he did. And he knew that, he'd thrown a special throw. I don't think he was 100% certain of crossing 90 because he came so close, 89, so many times, almost just inches away from the 90-meter mark. So he wouldn't have been 100% sure that he'll go past it. But I think he had an idea. But you're right. What a night for javelin throw per se. Now, here are two men. We just start talking about Neeraj Chopra, but here are two men who had never crossed the 90-meter mark. Neither had Julian Weber ever crossed the 90-meter mark. Not only did he get his personal best, he got an 89 point something, which is his personal best in the fifth throw. He goes past the 90-meter, goes to 91.06. He was, even before that throw, he was just about
89.8.
Yeah, which is about, I don't know how many, about 40 odd.
Yeah, 40 centimeters behind Neeraj.
Centimeters away, 40 odd centimeters away from what Neeraj had thrown anyway. And then he goes so much further ahead. So what a night. I can be rest assured there'll be, one European who's very happy in Julian Weber, but one European who'd be very unhappy in Zelezny, who coached Neeraj, and Weber pipped him at the post. But overall, I think it's a day for us to celebrate. I think this is what we'd all been waiting for, the 90-meter mark, and Neeraj just got that.
Yes. Remember the third throw in Neeraj Chopra in the Doha Diamond League? That was it, when he breached 90.23. But do you think, Nikhil, he could manage to do 90.23 primarily because after a long time, he's not having any major injury? He seems to have recovered from all the injury, and perhaps you could see it in the throw. He was coming in with far more, you will say, aggression. The run-up was smooth. Also, let me just tell you that in the venue, there was a very strong wind, which might have even assisted the 90-meter throw on a consistent basis. So, Weber and Neeraj, do you think it was a combination of Neeraj not having been bogged down by injuries in the last couple of months, plus whatever small techniques Jan Zelesny would have taught him, and did they make use of the conditions better?
See, I think the most important bit here, and I was going to allude to that, was that, of course, the conditions were very helpful. You have to accept that. For two men to cross that 90-meter mark for the very first time on the same occasion does tell you that the conditions there, and as you just point out, the wind there. Doha, by the way, historically has been very kind to javelin throwers, even in the past. So it's always produced some, magical javelin contest. So that apart, it makes a difference. The venue makes a difference. That, as well as I think the wind assistance that Neeraj got today, I think all of that really helped. So I think what this is done is, and I think, as I said, that this is a day for all of us to celebrate, because that 90-meter monkey is off the back, which is important. Maybe he goes into the future tournaments in a much better position. But I think the more important bit here is also to note is not to get overexcited, not to get in a situation where you think Neeraj is on top of the game, because if it's a day, and we have to be mindful of the conditions can dictate where. So certain days it's not always the mark that you reach. It's you actually judge a athlete based on the rest of the competition, because conditions will vary. So some place 89 could be easy, some place 90 could be easy, sometime 88 could be so tough to achieve. That will be as good as a 91 on a different day if the weather conditions are like that, if the air is much thinner, which will allow the javelin to cut through it. Colder climbs are very different compared to hotter temperature, and wind assistance. All of these things, it happens in sprinting as well. You see timing of an athlete go up and down depending on where they're running, and it's pretty much the same. So I think we need to take this overall. I mean, it's a good thing, as I mentioned, because that 90-meter pressure is off, but not to get overexcited, because the conditions were also helpful. So on another day, he probably wouldn't have crossed the 90-meter mark. But yes, Weber's performance does give you a sort of a reality check, as in that he's not clear cut above anyone else. Yes, he was far better than Anderson Peters. I think that's another positive for him, because last time around in the Doha League, on two occasions, I remember Anderson Peters pipped him, including in the finals. So he's been that, in Diamond League. Of course, Olympics, Neeraj picked him, but in Diamond League, he's been the one who's been his nemesis. So at least they put him aside. But then comes a Weber, who had always been trailing, now goes ahead. So the competition's really heating up. Remember, Arshad Nadeem's not even here in that competition. So it's still very close on the top.
Yeah, 2024, unfortunately, he finished second. And that was just, I think, by a matter of 1 or 2 centimeters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter. He lost to Julian Weber by 1 centimeter.
1 centimeter. And
sorry, not Julian Weber, Anderson Peters. Apologies.
Yeah, and then Anderson Peters had beaten him even in Oregon in the World Athletics Championship there, where he had to settle for silver. So it was a very, you may say, a night, 88.44, 90.23. And we felt, okay, we had already sent the thing that, yes, finally Neeraj, has it realized upon you, Gulati, that Neeraj has potentially completed Javelin? There's nothing left for him to achieve. He's done everything that is there in the world of Javelin, from gold medal to Diamond League success to everything else.
I think as an Indian, if you look at Neeraj's performances over the last few years or so, let's just begin from the Tokyo Olympics, wherein he grabbed that elusive gold medal as far as the javelin discipline is concerned. You always thought that his performances in the Diamond League were superb. Then he did well in the Paris Olympics also, although, Arshad Nadeem was obviously better than him on that particular day. So with all his performances, all his top 3 finishes or the top 2 finishes, sometimes always feel that, there's nothing left for him to achieve, as you rightly said. But at the very same time, what happens is there is one of his competitors who sets the bar high, whether it's, Weber, whether it's Arshad Nadeem, and that's when you actually feel that there is a lot to achieve. So obviously, Neeraj, is still very young, but breaking the 90-meter mark, and, as an Indian, it does feel very proud. It is indeed a proud moment for all of us. But then I think he may have completed almost anything and everything that is being there to achieve in javelin. But with what his competitors are doing, you do get that feeling also that he can still, make that maybe one more step, then one more step, then one more step. So I think, yeah, there's still, uh, I would say, sky is the limit for Neeraj, because the good thing is that, he has age on his side, and he can still get better.
Yep. And by the way, this is a great start for him in a very important 2025 calendar, because he'll be gearing up for the World Athletics Championship that will be held in Nagano. So, Asian Games and all these kind of things, when you look at Neeraj Chopra, this is ideal for him to build momentum heading into the next section of the World Athletics Championship, which is going to happen maybe in August, September. So this Diamond League performances, remember, this is one leg of the Diamond League. For people who are asking, does that mean he's won the Diamond League? No. This is one particular leg. The combined number of points that he will accumulate to finish in the top 8, that will take place in the Mega Diamond League final that will be held towards the end of the season. So this is just the first leg that Neeraj Chopra has participated in. He may participate in 3 or 4 more legs so that he gets the required points and he gets into the Diamond League final that will be held after the completion of the entire cycle. So yes, Doha has seen something spectacular today. 290-meter throws, but yet Neeraj, despite throwing 90, has finished second in an absolutely heartbreaking last throw that was done by Julian Weber. But it was tough to catch the broadcasting, and that is what Sarat Chandra was saying. You're all wondering, where is the javelin broadcast happening? Why can't they arrange multiple lives of each sport simultaneously? This is a reason that athletics is big, but not big to what it deserves. Hope the arrangement is soon. I hope they arrange it soon. But then, Nikhil, you only know what is the logistics behind it. Why can't they arrange so many multicams at this stage? What is the event which is more important?
I mean, it's a simple answer. There are no takers for it. So for Olympics, you have multiple streams because you have people paying for it. Right now in India, how many people even got up to watch this Diamond League? And again, it's not even on a broadcaster. They've actually had to put it out on a YouTube, which itself tells you that there are no broadcasters that are bidding for TV rights at the moment. So I think it's just a reflection. And when that happens, it takes me back to the old Olympic days. We used to watch Olympic games also like this, where there was only one broadcast, one major broadcast. And for every other final, you had to break through. And this happens more so in athletics because there are multiple events happening on the same day and a lot of finals that take place. So usually events like pole vault, like a high jump, like a javelin are all running simultaneously to the track events. And this happens. So again, it's financially not viable. That happens. But just on the subject of Neeraj, and I think as we look at various aspects, I think the one aspect we also need to look at is this is a very important event, keeping in mind his transition of the coach, because he went to Zelezny and there were still a lot of question marks. And so the very first tournament is when you start judging him. Of course, we know the first event could have been a Neeraj Chopra Classic. It would have been the 2 back-to-back events that they would have had. But that event, of course, is cancelled. So, you only have this one event now to judge him immediately rather than 2 back-to-back events that you would have had. With that in mind, the world's eyes were on them. And I remember the initial bit of information that we were getting, because remember, I spoke to Neeraj as well when he came down from the middle of his training schedule that he does in Potchefstroom in South Africa, where he trains with Zelezny. That's his training base. So initially he had difficulty because they were trying to change a few things, and it's never easy that you work with Klaus under one regime, under one sort of training method, under one sort of philosophy to change all that. He was finding it difficult. So it could have gone downhill. There are a lot of careers sometimes that go downhill and can never recover. In the quest of achieving greatness or achieving the gold standard, sometimes you end up slipping as well, and that was a risk that he was running. So I think one of the biggest positive apart from that 90-meter mark is also that, okay, he's on the right path. He's now finally reached a stage where it's not going to be downhill. Yes, he may or may not improve from here, but it's not going to be a disaster in the waiting, which sometimes can have if you're going to change coaching methods, if you're going to change your training methods. So at least that's a positive. And now that it's a first tournament, if you're going to look at it positively, I think that maybe, going forward, he could up his game. I could see a visible change in his technique as well. While his running was the same, and I'm no expert as such, but I could see the way there was a little less bent on the elbow, if I'm not mistaken. It was a much straighter arm that I can see. But again, I'm no expert in javelin, but just from the naked eye is what I can see. I'm sure that there will be a lot of interaction with Neeraj, with the press, so we'll get to know a little bit more about the technique that he may have changed. But I think that's another very good and a positive sign in terms of what the future holds for him.
Yeah,
And
Nikhil, I have a question for you here. You said that you do speak to Neeraj about his current training that he's having with Zelensky. Not really getting into the technical aspects here, but what do you think? From all the conversations that you probably must have had with him in the last couple of months or so, what do you think is that one thing that he's really working on as far as his mental conditioning or mental training is concerned?
No, but that is something that Siddharth, he was working on for a long time. But I had
Mhm.
made a few bit of notes, reading articles about the change in technique. As I said, what I said was very, you know, open to interpretation, open to what I just saw at the moment. But you can see that uh, there is, I mean, I don't know, more of a linear throw I'm seeing than previously. That's the one change that you can see. You can also see that his left arm is now much closer to his body than it was earlier. So few visible changes are there in terms of the technique that was going under Klaus.
Mhm.
But as I said, these are things that I could just watch from his training. Remember, I used to put those clips, but
Yeah,
to see
yeah,
him
yeah.
but to see him in competition and also uh, execute that different technique and get the results out, I think that is more heartening.
No, I
yeah,
think sometimes when you want to make those technical adjustments, sometimes it also takes a lot of mental work that you have to do so that you can put all of that into fruition. It's about basically the visualization process. It's something that we have seen in case of all the cricketing stalwarts that we have talked about, Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, how visualization has played a a massive impact. I'm sure Neeraj must have done earlier also when he was pretty much at his peak until the last year or so before he had that injury post the Paris Olympics. But this time around also, I'm sure there must be something or some of the things that he may have tried to change as far as the mental aspect is concerned that maybe we'll get to know at a later date.
yeah. But before we sign off, another two major updates. Gulveer Singh finished ninth in the 5,000-meter steeplechase that happened. But Parul Chaudhary has managed to finish sixth, and she's qualified for the World Athletics Championships also. She broke the national record, 9 minutes, 13 seconds, and now she's also managed to qualify for the World Athletics Championship. It's a big, big feat even for Parul Chaudhary. So if you look at it, for India, some good news with Neeraj crossing 90.23 but finishing second. Parul Chaudhary finishing sixth, but she also has qualified for the World Athletics Championship. Kishore Jena, unfortunately, not doing well. He couldn't cross 80 that consistently. And Gulveer Singh, yes, hopes were pinned on him, but he ended up finishing ninth in the 5,000-meter race. So that is why lots of memorable moments from the Doha Diamond League. And yes, side by side, you're also seeing why Indian sport is on the rise, because Ragnananda has also won the Superbet Classic. So I will be also coming back very shortly with a live on that. It was a thriller in Bucharest, what has just happened. So, oh, really, really awesome day when you look at Indian sport. So yes, Neeraj Chopra throws 90.23, history created, but he still can't win because Julian Weber throws a phenomenal 91.02 meters. I think it's in the top 13, if I'm not mistaken, of the best throws ever by a javelin thrower. So, yes, oh, great, great day indeed. So, thank you so much, folks, for joining us. It's still some more updates need to be given. So, from Nikhil, me, and Sid Gulati, it is bye bye, good night, see you soon.